This is Steve. Steve is just your average guy, works an okay job, lives in an okay house. But as of right now, Steve's life would no longer just be okay. You see, in case you didn't realize, the zombie apocalypse is now upon us. It's okay if you didn't know, Steve is just finding out himself. We join him as he wakes up in the middle of the road in some rural American town, wearing nothing but his underwear and a backpack containing a few handy items. The time is 7 a.m. The sun is blinding to Steve's poor little eyes. Where is he? How did he get here? And why can we see through Steve's first-person perspective? So many questions need answering. Steve meanders down the road trying to make sense of anything or at least get his bearings.
Where is everyone?
He thought.
Is the apocalypse upon us?
Steve was very astute. He spots an abandoned car. It looks like it's been here a long time. Steve searches the car and grabs anything that looks of use. Across the road, he notices a rather fortified-looking base, flying a flag.
I wonder if there's someone there who can help me.
He wonders. The sign says open, so he heads on in. Inside, he meets a lovely fellow by the name of Trader Joel.
Hey there, name's Trader Joel.
They chatted for a long while. Steve learns of the post-apocalyptic situation he now finds himself in, and whilst most people would be distraught, Steve is delighted. He'd been wishing for this day his whole life. Like a lot of people, he thinks himself quite the survivalist, often stating,
I could survive a zombie apocalypse, no problem.
Well, I guess we'll find out, won't we, Steve? Joel also explains,
Saw an ambulance tearing up the road. Back doors flew open, you came tumbling out. Quite the sight. I'll be honest with you, I thought you were dead.
An ambulance?
He thought. Perhaps he'd been in a coma. It would certainly explain how so much time had passed already. Well, that's the story we're going with anyway. Amongst the plethora of information Steve inherited from Joel, the most important was this.
Now, you don't have to worry too much about the zombies during the day. They're as slow as cold molasses, but at night, they can run. And they can run fast.
And then came the crucial part.
See, every 7th day, there's a blood moon. The zombies come in hordes, each one bigger than the last, and them critters can haul ass, let me tell you. You better hope you're somewhere safe on those nights, else, you only got 7 days to die.
Can't stay here?
Steve asked.
Hell, if I let every straggler in here, I'd be full to the brim. I'll be here if you want to purchase some goods. I'm afraid these days it's every man for himself. Or every person for themselves, I should say.
Delighted by Joel's inclusivity, Steve left in high spirits, ready to kill some zombies. Joel had given Steve some initial guidance in what he might need to get started. Well, he certainly wasn't being guided by some sort of tutorial, that's for sure. Thankfully, Steve had always been a bit of an adventurer and extremely resourceful, so constructing basic tools and weapons was a breeze. How fortunate. However, before he could even make a start on that, he spotted potential food. A plump chicken. Steve knew he couldn't let this opportunity go, so he punched the chicken. Twice. With a dead chicken laid before him, he suddenly realized he had no way of preparing it. Poor planning, Steve. Without delay, he went on the hunt for something sharp.
Oh, look, a skeleton.
He exclaimed. Well, punching it won't do much good, Steve. For this, we need an axe. Take that mighty fist and punch a tree, for we need wood, and we all know that's how you get wood. Excellent. All we need now are a couple of stones. Thank goodness for these handy markers. With all components in hand, Steve used his mad skills to create a very crude stone axe. Well done, Steve. We can now cut up that skeleton with the appropriate tools. And with one big squelch, he acquired numerous handy things, including bones. Bones that can be used to create a bone knife. With knife in hand, Steve elegantly plucked, gutted, and dissected the chicken, preparing some glorious raw meat to be cooked later. Uh-oh, Steve has spotted another chicken. I think we all know what happens next, although this one was far more slippery. You can do this, Steve. We believe in you. more delicate slicing, and Steve has even more fresh meat to add to the collection. Fun fact about Steve, he's always been a bit of a crossbow fanatic. But here in the apocalypse, a bow and arrow shall have to suffice, at least for now. He assembled wood, feathers, stone, and plant fibers to create a simple bow and arrow. Although we're going to need more than one arrow, Steve, let's be honest. After demolishing a large boulder, he had the items to create 22 arrows. Crikey. And with that, it was time for Steve to take on his first zombie. Such a pivotal moment in Steve's apocalypse arc. Years of practicing with beer cans led to this moment. He took aim, held his breath, and fired.
Bullseye.
Right in the head. Goodness, this is one tough zombie, or one weak arrow. Thankfully, one more shot did the trick, and Steve took down his first of many Zeds. Steve quickly developed a thirst for blood as he was on to his next victims. The first getting an arrow to the face followed by a club to the head, something Steve now likes to call the 1-2 punch. The second got her entire skull obliterated. How delightful. As much as he enjoyed his first taste of homicide, Steve knew time was swiftly moving forward and he needed to start thinking about somewhere to stay tonight. And then he laid eyes on it. A very fortified-looking shotgun messiah.
This should be ample protection for the first night.
He weirdly said out loud.
But how to get in?
The front door seems far too obvious and also rather shuttered, so he ventured round the side. And wouldn't you know it, there was a side door and it was open. Quite the spot of luck. Steve found himself in a rather dark but somewhat cozy warehouse. He rifled through boxes, bags, even siphoned some gas. I told you he was resourceful. And then he saw it, as if it were a light at the end of a tunnel. A first aid cabinet. This was surely too good to be true, but Steve went for it. All of a sudden, thud. There was a zombie hiding behind the door. Steve fled, quickly wielding his bow, ready to attack. In the heat of the moment, his first shot missed. So careless. Thankfully, the second was right on target. This was no time for the 1-2 punch, so this guy got a final arrow to the head, destroying the brain. Whilst another easy success, a stark reminder for Steve to tread more carefully. Danger can be lurking around every corner. After giving the door a tentative check, he searched the cabinet to find aloe vera and a blood pack. These will surely come in handy somewhere down the line. Moving into the store, Steve's sneaking pays off, and he gets a cracking stealth kill resulting in a glorious cranial explosion. Sneak all he might, some zombies still maintain the element of surprise, and this one's a youth. Ugh. This horrid dead teen receives 2 arrows to the face and is out cold. Colder than he was before. Whilst there is plenty to loot here, Steve focuses on clearing the Zeds first. Such a smart cookie. Out the back, Steve finds an incredibly extensive shooting range.
My, this is an incredibly extensive shooting range.
He knew for sure there would be a lot of Zeds to clear out here, so time to crack on. With the last zombie cleared and the sun very quickly setting, Steve figured he should probably make a start on his sleeping arrangements. The warehouse seemed the safest bet for tonight, so he closed some doors, destroyed another, even laid down the cutest of sleeping bags. He even utilized some cupboard space to store some of his recently acquired loot. Well, he's always been an organized soul. Steve's organization even extended into tidying, can you believe it, at a time like this? If he's going to survive here long, he better start thinking about food, drink, and warmth. And for that, we're going to need fire. Although it quickly occurs to Steve that his raw meat can't rightly be cooked on naked flame alone, so he's going to have to make do with an alternative for now. He remembers seeing a cornfield across the road, so heads out for some last-minute farming. With only half an hour left until nightfall, Steve legs it back to base. As it hits 10 PM, Steve thinks to himself, Who on earth is playing melancholic piano at this time of night? And with that, we reach the end of day 1. Whilst today was fairly successful, who knows what tomorrow brings, or in fact, how long Steve has left. I guess we'll have to wait and see. Until next time.